A story of a mistake. We keep arguing whether this is really about a mistake, but you're the guys to judge. Let's kick it off.
Finally, we agree that we disagree about it. So let's see.
Okay. Eva?
So I hope that you like riddles. We like riddles. So the first is, what's the difference between hippo and zippo? Anybody? Size, okay. Sorry? One letter, anything? Function, yes, of course. Anything more? Purpose of being, exactly. So our answer is the hippo. One is pretty heavy, and the other one is a little lighter. Right. The second riddle is about PZU Group. You know PZU Group. This is the biggest insurance company in Poland. A lots of clients, a lots of different insurance. Excellent customer service, of course. And the question is, do you think that PZU Group is quite heavy or a little lighter? Quite heavy? A little lighter?
Yeah.
Thank you. At least two voices. Okay, so we decided that we need to be a little lighter because according to the market, according to our clients' needs, we need to react. We need to deliver efficiently, deliver solution our clients' needs. So that's why we start to think about agility, about being agile. Agile PZU? Maybe. Somehow. But how? Yes. So once upon a time, in 2012, there were a group of people, agile mindset, they were engaged in doing something differently. So we gathered them in our first agile team. I was a Scrum Master, and we have a goal. We've got half a year, we've got certain amount of money, and we were supposed to prove that this is possible to have agile in PZU Group. And we did it. We did it in half a year. We provide excellent, potentially shippable code according to definition of done, with proper quality, and our one team was a proof that it is possible to have agile in PZU. But did it work?
It did. And the fact that we understood internally, and this was a very small group of people, it was a Scrum team and some others who really wanted to be agile because we had an idea that it might make sense, allowed us to go agile with a big bang. And that's what we did. We ran a program, and we're still running it, which became 500 people team, which was purely agile from the beginning. And we did everything absolutely right in the beginning. I mean, when I remember it, we didn't know we were doing it right, but we did it. So we went with all the agile practices because we actually had this proof of concept. We knew how to do it. So teams in itself were fine. We had proper Scrum Masters, proper teams. The technicalities were okay at the beginning. We had proper mindset for many reasons. The program we were doing, the fact that we dragged many people from the market, the fact that we had very interesting goals, and the fact that we were shown as the new PZU, as PZU 2.0, was helping us to integrate agile with goals of the company. So everybody knew we were doing something special, which was very nice. We were showing the increments and what we are doing in the whole team to our stakeholders, and pretty quickly we got to a point where we had 30, not one, 30 agile teams, 4 months after we started, showing what they did to the highest stakeholders of the company. So we had our product owner, who was 3 months ago just a leader in wherever he was working in the company, showing the work of his Scrum team to our CEO and receiving feedback, something which doesn't happen so often. So it really worked. It was great, except for one small thing. After wait a second. After some time, after we did the basic part, we went live with the program and we got all the praise. We became pretty professional with measuring how we do. And we started noticing that the more we scale, the more agile we become, but also the bigger the organization is, the more issues we have with pretty simple stuff. Communication, common backlog, the fact that the solution must be integrated, even though it's developed by 400 people or even more at moments. And most importantly, about dependencies. It's extremely difficult to create something which is one coherent product using so many hands. You know, everybody does it differently. So we needed to address this. And, you know, we're a corporation, so we were looking for a framework, right? We started to thinking, okay, we have Agile, but what can we do? We needed to scale Agile. So we Googled, scaled Agile, right?
And
That's
we
what comes up.
we found out. This is how scaled Agile look according to SAFe. Maybe you know the SAFe. It's quite simple on the three levels. On the upper level, you have a whole company. In the middle, you have program. On the down line, you have teams working according to Scrum, Kanban, whatever, with synchronization and cadation. That's it, and much, much more. You have many rules, you have many artifacts, many things that you have to do, you have to fulfill. But one very important thing to us at the moment was how to communicate. And we use this framework for that. So, did it work?
Yes, it did. What we did is we looked at SAFe, and we will encourage you to do it, even though we don't really use it anymore. We found what's important. We had extremely good time with the coach, which we used to teach us how to do it, and also some of our people, like Eva, went to trainings to understand how it works. We found that most of the things, I clicked too much. Most of the things we're doing pretty much at the team level we're doing okay at the team level. We found that at program level, we need to work on understanding what's our backlog and dependencies. So it addressed the issues we had. And we found that we're not really be doing with the whole portfolio part. We did this later on. So we focused on getting the dependencies right. We focused on something which we did exactly at this moment, big room planning. We understood that our teams need to communicate quickly and efficiently in one place, even if it will be noisy, difficult, but they need to understand what we expect from them and what they expect from themselves in a given point of time when they begin a release, to make sure that what they're doing in a release, and we work on quarterly releases, will make sense for everybody, that they discussed it. So that's what we did. We gathered the backlogs. Some of them looked like this, some of them were a bit more professional, but at least we had them. We had them in one place. We did this big room planning, and as I said, we encourage you to do it. It's very powerful if you have an organization as big as ours or even smaller. Very enlightening moment, because those people we took into those rooms, sometimes they just met. You know, they haven't even discussed with themselves. They had dependencies, something they need to discuss. So we've been through all of the steps. You had this Lego presentation yesterday when it was explaining all of the boring details, but basically we did what was necessary. So we discussed backlog, discussed dependencies, we've shown it to the stakeholders, and we looked at the risks which the teams brought to us. Pretty simple, but when you do it with 300 people, it requires lots of effort, and as I said, makes lots of sense. At the end of the day, we got this. Something we were really looking forward to. A big program backlog board. You got the teams in the columns, you have sprints in the rows, you got the major user stories, and the quality is bad enough for you not to see that we have dependencies as strings attaching those user stories, right? Looks like just a wall with some stickers on it. But this means that our teams discussed it all, and they understood what they're about to do. We loved it. We were very proud of it. And we keep doing it, actually, although we, as we'll say in a moment, changed the approach a bit. So, what do you think? Did it work?
Yes, it did, except one small thing. When you look at this table in 3 or 4 weeks, all communication that were chaotic in the past still were chaotic, because this board was like no man's land. We were starting to wonder what was on this pink sticker. Is it really important? What was the business goal that was connected with it? Because our ropes start falling apart. But the communication still was chaotic and not near this board. No, it was in one certain place. Nobody was an owner of it. So it wasn't a solution for keeping, for maintaining this understanding of dependencies we have in our head. This understanding starting to be outdated. And we need this to have still out-to-date, every day out-to-date. So that was the problem. And we were thinking about different approach. We were thinking, okay, maybe somebody in the world were trying to solve this problem as well. Maybe these are different frameworks, a little lighter, because we still want to be a little lighter, and we find Nexus. So the question is, and think for it for a moment, what's the difference between SAFe framework and Nexus?
I did.
Spoiled. Okay, this is the lessons for the next presentation. Thank you, Michał. And yes, the answer is of course that the SkaterJ framework is quite heavy, but the Nexus looks like a little lighter for us. So we look into Nexus, and what we find out. Our understanding of Nexus is quite simple. You have one Scrum team, all right? Scrum team, 3 to 9 person. And instead of having one developer, you put in place of one developer, one Scrum team. Simple. And the rest is the same. 1, 2, 3 roles. 1, 2, 3 artifacts. And 5 celebration. Simple. So we use it, and we're trying to communicate still in more structured way, but a little lighter. Not such huge, such heavy like according to SAFe. Did it help?
Yes, yes, it did. The power of Nexus is that it structures the way we work, the way we were trying to build the teams internally, because it shows that as you scale up your agile team, you can still work on the same principles. Because what you do is you look at a group of teams as you look at a group of people in a Scrum team. It's clear, even I understand it. I'm a director, and when I've seen it, I understood it. When I've seen SAFe, I said I couldn't be bothered. I just want this one gem, which was dependencies, and which we did. So Nexus was helping us, but there's always a but, this one thing, which didn't work. It didn't really address the issue we had in the beginning. It didn't really say that there's a silver bullet for having the program backlog and the dependencies properly discussed and properly addressed as we go with the release. So we had the big room plannings, we understood what happens at the beginning, we had planned, but then as we were going with the release, the backlog started to squeeze, the board started to dissolve. The problem we discussed before. So what we did is say, really, we had those frameworks. We are learning. We have people who know enough, who've been through enough to come up with a better solution. And we have a person who helped us solve the problem we have at hand. Eva, if you could
let me tell you, because I love this moment, and I love when we were looking in different frameworks, because it's some more between SAFe and Nexus. We have less, we have any others. And we were looking for solution how to maintain our program backlog, how to maintain our understanding. And there is one person, Marek Schwartz, one of our product owners, and he said, okay, you see what we did. In our team, we take a flip chart, a flip chart, and we put all user stories on this flip chart. One team, one sprint, one flip chart. And we put the stories that's input on the left, and we put the stories that's output on the right. And this is the stories from the different flip charts from the different teams. So we have, of course, redundancy here, but we have one piece like a puzzle that have ownership. Because we have, according to the previous board, it was no man's land. And now we have ownership. The teams owns this flip chart. And when we gather in the big room planning, we gathering these pieces into puzzle that is like a previous one, like a previous board. And after this planning, after every discussion, after understanding, we take these flip charts to the team's place. And that was very good idea, and the guy that was thinking about it, why he did it? For reward? For, I don't know, what do you think? For a moment, for this? No, he was engaged. He cares about this continuous improvement, and what he got for it? He got thank you. And I have, could you please do me a little favor? Because I would like to thank Marek Schwarz once again, and I would like to clap for him. So please, Marek Schwarz, he's here. He stand. Yeah. Clap with me, please. Thank you, Marek. That was excellent idea.
And we hope we improve your intrinsic motivation by this. Unnecessary comment. However, what we're trying to say, and this is just an example of what we're trying to do. We'll get to the point in a second. We went through a story here, right? We started with Agile as a concept. We knew that our company needs it, and we were pretty sure that it's okay for big programs. It worked. It had a flaw, but it worked. It didn't scale very well, so we went for a framework, scaled Agile framework. We've been through it. We selected what's necessary for us, not the whole of it. We decided it's too heavy, so we looked further on. We found Nexus, which was pretty much describing the way we were working. Didn't address the major issue, the backlog we were talking about, but helped us to structure the teams and understand how we should cooperate. And then at the end of the day, and this is where we are now, we invented something which works for us. We invented this using our team after making all the mistakes and learning on all of those mistakes. And now, why we're telling you this? We're telling you this because we believe that the way we get to a point is not really important. The whole story is not really important. It's just illustrating that what we build and what we're sustaining right now, what's important in the way we do Agile is this whole Agile environment. We have 4 things right now, 4 groups of people, 4 groups of ideas which are really making it possible. First of all, I'm in the group, so maybe that's why it's first of all. Let's talk clockwise. We call it Agile PMs, but actually it's management of a company plus group of PMs who understand that there needs to be something like an Agile mindset, who understand that people might make mistakes. And our work is to explain to those guys who don't get it that that's the way it does and that it's good for the company. And we've been doing this since 2011 to 12 when we started. Our job is also to look internally into our teams and try to see what's bothering them. We're doing everything not to manage them. We're doing everything to stand with the big board, how can we help you, right? Build this whole framework for the teams to work inside. Make sure they have the air to breathe and everything necessary to be successful in what they're doing. So that's what Agile PMs do. But then we need to be proficient. We need to we need to have a way to keep developing. And this is where the Agile coach goes into. Beautiful and talented Eva from the beginning. She was the soul of this whole transformation. We didn't even name her coach until 1.5 years ago, but she and the group of people who were helping her started being this coach group. Eva is leading it at this moment. Then other groups emerged. We have GSM, Gildia Scrum Masters Guild, pretty professional group led by Eva, who meet every week and who keep developing, keep learning, keep looking for those safe, Nexus, whatever the solution is, improving the way we cooperate internally. And we have a very open group. It's called ATT, Agile Think Tank, which also meets every week. And if it doesn't, I'm really crying because it means something is wrong. It's a place where anybody can come from our team, put up an idea, tell us what doesn't work. It's not a retro, it's just a think tank. And help us to understand what we can improve at this day, at the next day. And we've been doing this for the last 3 years. It's very powerful. We don't stand in one place. We look for ideas, we use them to develop. And that's actually what we look like.
And I insist that this is the presentation about mistake. So let's name it. The mistake is that when you have a problem and you are looking into framework, the framework is not an answer to any problem. The framework is an answer for a problem. So it was good to reach this place when we need a safe and to do big room planning. It was good for us. We understand something. It was good to reach Nexus and to find out that it's integrated team, yes? That was needed for us, that we have certain people that are responsible for inspection and adaptation, that have backlog of inspection and adaptation. So this is how we grow. And the most important thing is this inspection and adaptation of any framework, of anything that your people bring to you, like Marek Schwartz bring new idea of building a program board. It is inspection and adaptation of our achievements, our releases, anything. And when you build, you grow like this with improvement, inspection, agile think tank, or any community that is for volunteers, for GSM, or any community that is for Scrum Masters, product owners, QA people. We have communities for QA, for business analysts, because they need to develop, they need to share their knowledge. I think this is the lesson we want to learn. We learned and we want to share with you. So I wish you all the luck on your way of growth. Thank you.